Hey, how's it going? It's Man Tomorrow here. Let's give people a couple minutes to come in. So hold on a second. Make sure you get something to drink. This is going to be a very factual-based discussion. I don't really give a damn about what happened between the people, but we need to discuss what this is about. So hold on a second. I'll wait on some people to get in here. Yeah. All right, how's that going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. Thank y'all for coming through. Could y'all like the video upon coming in? Oh, shit. All right, so what we're going to talk about here is not really the situation, what happened last night, but the overarching theme of who's the winners and losers thanks to what happened last night. Okay, here's my belief. My belief is there is nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, going on where men should ever be holding other men responsible for the activities that they do to this behavior. Even if he's dating somebody who's 900 pounds, I think everything that he talked about is still basically true, that he actually did talk about. So that's the portion of it that I want to talk about. So you have to understand the difference between paid commentary and paid counseling. One of these things are not legally liable. The other thing, thanks to what you see on the screen, is liable. So what you have to look at is the paid counseling portion of this, because it was taken down by the paid counseling field. So since there's a buffer there that needs to be filled by somebody, because if we can come together for this reason, then we should be coming together for the outcome of the boys. We should be coming together for the abortion rate. We should be coming together for the out of wedlock birth rate. We should be coming together for all those things. Now, what did happen to Obsidian is his own fault. I do not endorse And I think it is very wrong to make fun of any person for any reason. This space is supposed to be about the arguments and the tenets of conversation. And the moment you get personal, you have no possible protection once you do so, especially when you got statistics like that. To me, either way, I don't care. At the end of the day, if that one situation is actually working for him, okay, that's good. But at the end of the day, there's an underlying notion here that no one is talking about. We still have this underlying problem with this person in this society who still acts a specific type of way towards men. So when you feed the problem an actual solution, that problem does not get better. It stays the same. So you have to realize that if we could do all these things here, on the behalf of women, because women are the ones who's winning here in this scenario. Because the basis of what he was talking about was true. And man, let's not talk shit about C Boogie or anybody else in the chat, man. We're trying to have a factual based discussion. I'm not here to litigate what happened last night. I'm here going forward on what we need to be focused on as men before we fall back into this self-improvement bullshit trap. I'm gonna start timing niggas the fuck out if you start using C Boogie name in the fucking chat, because it's bigger than what happened last night. Way bigger. I'm just saying from here on out. So that way we can keep this discussion on track with what I'm trying to do here. What I'm not trying to do is litigate what happened last night. You have to recognize the problem that is actually here. While most men are here is because they are dealing with a specific problem with a specific group of women. So I never believed that giving a person anything that they want in a hostage scenario actually means that you actually want anything. Because when we talk about self-improvement, we're talking about giving people an actual deal about male agency. It's about putting yourself in a better place. It's not about lifting weights to get different access to the same problems. That doesn't solve any problem at all. In fact, it helps her stay the same. So you have to look at it this way. Outside of those personal situations, the things that Obsidian talks about, which I hope he still do talk about, is still basically true. These people still do have a specific problem with the way that they treat people in society. They still are engaging in the same actions. Me personally, I never took any of these women seriously. If they're on the market, if they're in online space, probably there's something wrong with them. Because the feminine women that I actually do know, most of them are not online. Most people in these so-called black love level happiness marriages, they're not online either. So if the people who have the so-called success are not online, how do you have all these relationship consultants actually online selling a product if the people who's actually in these actual relationships are not showing off their results either? This is kind of where we are with this. So it's a binary situation. Either there is a problem or there is not a problem. So let's talk about the winners and losers from last night. The winners are the N1 network. Niggas first. Niggas first, nigga bitches. That's who won last night. There was no movement to offer something in its stead to actually deal with the actual problem on the ground. And what we have here, that's the derelict woman portion of it. And the relationship industry is what the people represented who actually took them down. Now, are they going to come out and hold women to the level of respect or actual consequences for their actions the way that they did with a specific type of man? Because I'm not sure how you skip over 20 million abortions. I'm not sure how you skip out of the outcome of the boys. I'm not sure how you skip over the out of wedlock birth rate. I'm not sure how you skip over gang culture. I'm not sure how you skip over all those things and thinking that going to the gym and giving this person a better looking body is going to make her change anything. Behaving differently toward the same inventory, you have not got a changed woman. You got the same woman under different circumstances. This is why self-improvement is about which career field you're trying to get into. So that way we can be sure that we're moving on with our self-improved state to a different type of outcome. That's the whole reason why you're self-improving. You're not supposed to be bowing down to any woman. It's either you have self-respect and have sense enough to stay away from a person who's cultured a certain type of way, or you're willing to compromise your values as a human being in order to get a piece of what you think is valuable out of the person. So what's being sold here is compromise dressed up as actual answers to questions. So you have to realize that this is not an actual solution here. Yeah, we got 197 people watching. Could y'all get the likes up, please? We're gonna wait a minute while y'all do that. While I look up something. I've got 30 more seconds. Come on. All right, there we go. That's better. All right. So we're going to go through some things here because these people who are selling this fake answer to this problem are going to run into some real legal turmoil here. What I'm going to do first, stop screen share. Screen share. Okay. When you're giving this coaching type of stuff within this space, you're actually mimicking this right here. This is the American Psychological Association website. What the American Psychological Association is an actual organization that helps people, whether man or woman, to solve a specific problem. All this game and all this nonsense, it doesn't help the problem. It helps you surrender to a problem. This is a national organization of professionals. And if you actually need help, they send you to an actual psychologist for help. These people who are born and raised in these types of situations need professional medical advice. They don't need help from people here who are here to make money off of the problem. Self-improvement, the most important part of self-improvement is where you are spending it and what you are spending it on. I know in the Black community, we have this problem somehow with people thinking that because they're able to make money, however means necessary, that things are right and they should happen and that they shouldn't be criticized. But I'm telling you, according to legal professionals, let me tell you what you're actually doing. What you actually don't understand that you're doing something very specific. So we're going to talk about this right here. When you're acting on your own accord, when you're substituting yourself for actual fields that exist, when someone puts you up there and asks you questions about the field you represent, this is what they're going to take you down for. If you don't understand what I'm looking at, it's the evidence, the legal picture of how these things work. As you can see, the logical relevance and the legal relevance, supported by the American Psychological Association, not the National Association of Dating Coaches, which they don't have. And how you're going to end yourself up in legal trouble is because none of you people who attached yourself to this field have ever said that this is for entertainment purposes only. And when you don't say that, you're putting yourself in a world of trouble. With the coaching services, with the books you put out, you're trying to solve a specific problem. And these people are going to go after you personally. It doesn't take but one case. Right now, we got the OK Cupid thing going through the criminal justice system right now, who use all these mechanisms and all this kind of stuff to extract money out of the public. Because they own all the other websites that have to deal with dating. I'm just saying that the initial problem is still here. And the only thing we're doing is feeding the initial problem more broken men. Because if this was actually an actual solution to a problem, you would have more results. The only thing you're doing is you're selling access to a woman who's going to have control in this type of situation. That's all that is. So you have to realize that this is not a win for men. They already have peer-reviewed studies and all types of stuff with this pathological behavior. You just can't come up and provide a solution that's not based on anything that's factual. And the only thing you are doing is teaching subjectivist opinion as actual fact toward people, because there's no way that you have any type of time to practice these type of techniques, to hone these type of techniques, and speak from a point of retirement from these type of techniques. Even though you have to realize that what they're teaching is from a basics of fact, because they haven't separated themselves from opinion. because you're teaching a certain outcome. How do you have all this time to be teaching from the top 10 levels of this and that and this and that and that? Dude, you'll have battle fatigue at some point trying to practice all this stuff. But what a person does from a subjective standpoint is not based on anything that you teach from. So what I'm saying is, I don't give a damn about the women. I prefer women handle the women's issues. We shouldn't be trying to help these women in any type of way. Like I said, I'm neutral in the thing. I'm here for the actual arguments that's being presented and nothing else. So you have to realize that providing an unrealistic solution to a real problem has a very consequential cost to it. You can look at it as subjective all you want to, but Harvey Weinstein had Harvey Weinstein money. He didn't get away with what he was getting away with. Bill Cosby had Bill Cosby money. See, what they're going to do is they're going to come through the media and bombard them with the idea of your services, and then they're going to turn around and go through all your phones, all your emails, all your everything for the past 10 or 20 years to look for the same random people who now probably have an axe to grind because you got away with this stuff, because they're going to show them all this stuff. And then they're going to come after you the same way they came after those people. Not that I'm trying to help you, because you're not trying to help men at all. You're trying to get paid off a problem that's systemically here. The woman is getting a better deal here. The man is just getting access. You see, this is how the self-improvement kind of stops, because people are merely self-improving enough, going back to old situations and circumstances and getting what they want out of it. That may seem like a victory, but a victory for who? Overall, it's not a victory for both parties. There's no way that it is, because this person doesn't have enough time to be productive outside of their pursuit. There's no way you have time for this. So you have to realize that you can't be providing fake solutions for fake problems. Because if you do, you leave yourself legally liable. Because that's when they start to go into your personal life to see if your personal life matches up with what you try to do as a profession. Remember, your marketing and stuff is counseling. The legal system is not gonna look at it as entertainment. They're gonna look at it as counseling, because what you're doing is for entertainment purposes only. You have to realize Dr. Oz may be a real doctor, not really working on people. What he's on TV doing is considered entertainment. That dude has to sign a bunch of forms before he gets on TV and actually talk about the thing he actually talk about in his field. And you should see the Medical Association actual opinion of Dr. Oz. It don't rate quite highly. The same thing with Dr. Phil. He may have an actual center, but he, again, no liability for the stuff that he puts out. He knows that it's entertainment. He has to sign documents saying that. Before he puts that stuff out. So you need to make sure that what you're doing, they're going to be able to look you up, see what you was doing before, and look at what you was doing after. What type of solution that you were solving, and what happens after. The next thing I'm going to show you is actually what you're going to be charged with. So that way we can be very clear about what's happening here. The fraud that you are perpetrating upon everybody in the manosphere has a very definite legal term to it. It is called a racket. And I'm going to read what a racket is. So that way you know what a racket is. Like I said, I'm on nobody's side, but I'm just trying to let you guys know what's happening here before it actually does happen. That's right. Let's read what a racket is. A racket is, according to the current common and most general definition, is organized criminal act in which the criminal act is some form of substantial business, dating coaching, a way to earn illegal money, consulting services along with that, either regularly or briefly, your YouTube career. A racket is therefore generally repeated or continuous organized criminal operation. Yes. However, according to the more specific definition, racketeering constitutes extortion and criminal coercion. That is, the coercion part is when you fill men with insecurities, which they can obviously prove, and actually the actual needing of your services to actually solve a problem that isn't there. Because remember, you're not counselors of any kind. You're making money off of a problem that's there. You're selling a fake solution for a real problem. Let's go back to this grade. I don't give a fuck about your ability to make money. I give a fuck about your ability to get these hoes a fucking out on their fucking behavior. That's what I give a fuck about. See here? Psychological help center. Are you in a crisis? When they come to you with a situation that they need help on, specialists are available for confidential telephone counseling. You see what this stuff right here says? Talk to an expert. You know what that expert's going to be? Someone who's licensed, bonded, and insured by the American Psychological Association, where they have to pass a board exam in order to practice their craft. You don't have any legal structure for that. So for the actual information that you're actually selling to people, is it something that you're actually certified in? When you have to go to being certified as a counselor, all your stuff has to be put on the table. You see, when you don't have the legal framework of protection, this is what you set yourself up for. You set yourself up for this actual problem. You really think that most Black children with their outcomes is really going to be solved by access to the same woman cultured a specific way within this culture? Can you legally answer that question? Gaslighting aside, you're going to have to be able to answer that question. And when you cannot answer that question, it's going to be looked at, the money that you gain from this action, even though you're a counselor, even though you're not certified by anybody, it's going to be looked at as this. Remember, you're just making money off an existing problem. They threaten the actual tobacco lobby with racketeering charges because they came before Congress and they started lying to Congress about cigarettes giving people cancer. The federal government stepped in and threatened these people with racketeering charges before they stopped what they were doing. You think you got the type of money to fight the federal government, even though you're perpetuating this fraud and con among everybody? Again, this is about the argument that somehow bowing down to this problem actually give you solution to said problem. It doesn't. It gives you access, not control. Male agency is control. Bowing down to these people give you access, which gives her control. So you have to realize what the manosphere is here about. It's about giving men, better outcomes through self-agency, self-determination, and forming a family with cultured people who are not cultured for male usury, like the Black community, i.e., MGTOW, IPMOR, SYSBM, and everybody else who want to pick a decent human being rather than bow down to the matriarchy. That's what this is about. Like this, the same dumb shit about calling yourself a select or non-select man, the same type of fucking fraud. So you want to get selected by the problem. You don't want to just dodge the problem altogether. It's called racketeering, folks. When you create a book, when you create a coaching service, when you create Patreons to sell people on how to control or do some shit, you better make sure you're certified to actually do that from somewhere. Because if not, your ass is going to be charged with fucking racketeering. Why don't we look at the last sentence here? Starting with particularly. Particularly, the potential problem may be caused by the same party that offers to solve it. But that the fact may be concealed with the specific intent to engender continual patronage for this party. That's the continuation portion of you keep perpetuating this bullshit on men. This is why you can't self-improve your way into the same women. You can only self-improve your way into a different inventory. If you acting differently toward the same inventory, you have by means have surrendered to that party. It's a con game by people who think they can go to the gym and that they're photogenic, that they can perpetuate this fraud among everybody. This is why most of these con men have actually skipped over productivity and went straight to the women. Because in actual alpha, in the animal kingdom, to which they try to perpetuate themselves, the lion feeds the whole pride, weak and strong alike. Who do you think these dating coaches are feeding? They're feeding themselves and you to the women who are actually the problem. How does that solve the problem for you? So how do we skip over all these things just to give men access? How do we do that? If the people who are perpetuating this stuff cannot show you the actual completed married family, intact household of what they're selling, don't you think this is a fraud and a con? Again, we're sticking to the argument. I'm not trying to protect nobody's business here. I'm trying to protect the interest of men because that's what side I'm on. So you have to realize what's happening to you. Maybe I put off not doing this for a very long time, but it's something that we need to talk about as men if we're going to have actual progress. You can't bring along somebody who's been cultured a certain way of male usury. Because male usury is how all this works. bowing down to this problem is not going to get you anywhere towards solving the problem. Thanks for the super chat, Sagittarius Prince. Timothy speaking facts, class Ryan. Yeah, it's just that you have to understand that these people deserve no quarter. And because you run a business based on this fraudulent setup, that I have to call it out for the fraud and the con job that it is. You should not be basing your success on, as a man, based on access to women. Niggas do that. I'm not trying to hide nigga shit behind fake ass self-improvement, man. I'm not doing that. Even though I disagree with the author quite mightily, outside of everything that he does, one of the only books that I recommend is Mode 1. So that way you can see the games and dodge them. And nearly one half of the beta male revolution. So that way you can see what the problem is. Now, the solving of other portion part of that book, I don't fuck with. But at the end of the day, this stuff is cataloged. And you can dodge this to get better outcomes for yourself. But most black men want to take shortcuts through game to gain access to something that is the benefit of actual productivity. I've seen people from other cultures make $50,000 a year on dozens of properties. They're not giving any of those gains to women. Their culture provides them decent women to actually make sure that they're not being used. The black community only provides male usury so the men can be used, because there's two types of people in the black community. There's sexual labor, and then there's actual monetary labor. The sexual labor is actually the guys who stop self-improvement the moment they get access to a woman. And then the actual monetary portion is the grab-and-go nigga system, which I'm going to talk about tonight. Knowing that they have done this specific type of way, this is how this is set up. Thanks for the $20 super chat, Charles Merchant. Address these charlatans and they're feeding men into the mouths of the women that are compromised. Yes. Let me paint a visual picture for you guys. Have you guys ever went to a slaughterhouse? A slaughterhouse that processes pigs or maybe even cows? Let's talk about cows for a second. That cow that steps on that conveyor belt has no idea in 30 minutes that cow is coming out in boxes. That cow is coming out in boxes. That cow has no idea. Stupid look on his face. It's just rolling down the conveyor belt. When you can see all the nice serrated blades and stuff, and you just hear the yeah. That's what they're setting you up for with this so-called knowledge that they're trying to share with you. The difference between consulting and coaching, a coach doesn't want you to be in a worse position overall in life or as a player on their specific team to which they have you on. A bad consultant wants you coming back for the same bad information to keep reperpetuating the same problem. Because remember, what you're doing, the inventory isn't changing. You're just learning how to deal with the inventory. I agree, you should self-improve. Andrew Wilkins, what did I say, man? Not bringing up people's names here. We're keeping this stuff on topic. Yes, Goshen, you are 100% right. They're feeding you to the same problem. And you don't even know it. But for somehow, since people want to run a business off of this shit, I should keep my mouth closed about it. It's the culture's job to hand down women, but our culture has socialized women into not having any responsibility taken for the actions that they actually perpetuate with an environment. Then a person think he is self-improving by buying all these services, trying to handle said problem better. There is nothing that is to be gained through game that cannot be provided through male agency at a later date than so-called game upfront. It's a con job. Want to know why? No results. Actually, no results that nobody overall in their culture where things are working are willing to come by and actually have being practiced in their actual culture. So again, what happened last night? That dude had everything coming to him. Shouldn't be talking about people personally, man. But when you do, this is what you set yourself up for. Again, I'm not here to litigate what happened last night, but I am talking about the greater good here going forward. These women are on the market for a very specific reason. Nobody from any other culture that works are trying to come over here to get these women for a very specific reason. You need to understand that in order to be able to defeat this system, you got to be able to starve the new participants from coming into it. Today is the first day of a new month. No, sorry, February 29th. Forgot this year, leap year. So what you have to understand is we're still in Black History Month. You notice how Black History Month is not celebrating Iceberg Slim or his book or none of that dumbass shit. They're celebrating during Black History Month actual things that were celebrated by Black people during a time where they actually provided great things. And as Supreme King Kun said, what is the outcome or the positive impact of game? There ain't no fucking positive impact or anything else. That's for the $20 super chat, Cablo. So what I'm simply saying here, fellas, is that we got to be able to work with the people we can actually work with. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. There's not going to be a whole lot of people who's going to come out of this thing unscathed. There's going to be a lot of people who's still going to walk right out of here and do the same thing tomorrow and the next day and the next day because their masculinity stopped after they gained access to one woman in this type of environment. I'm not going to lie. It is very hard to get sex out of an unfeminine woman unless you bow down to her every need. Not going to lie. It's damn impressive, but there's actually inventory elsewhere that I can actually deal with. Again, this is about the argument of self-improvement. The argument of where you spend your improved self. The argument of the path that you should take. The argument behind the actual career field that you're going to engage and embark on and try to get to the top of to be an improved person. And finally, what you decide to pass down, if you decide to pass it down. This is why most of these women are in this space. To be taught the social cues from these people that you're going to try so they can know a damn fool when they see one. So this is what I'm saying. There's no reason to do this. The great thing about the information age is you can see every life cycle of every con job perpetuated over and over again. This is not a path to male agency. This is the woman's path to a better man under the same circumstances. You cannot solve a poisonous mice problem with a poisonous snake problem. And this is why these people don't care about money. They don't care about anything else but looks and give a woman the best deal possible. Not trying to hold her ass to any type of account. They don't even tell women to act differently. They just have you focus on things that you should get differently to give access. And all this stuff is rooted in putting yourself beneath her and speaking her language. You see, when you stay out of this system for so long and you deal with other people, black or otherwise, you'll realize that you don't have to deal with a certain thing in a certain way to get something that's basic out of a woman, so long as she is a woman. So you have to realize and you have to understand the fraud and the con that's being played upon us all. While she's laughing all the way to the bank with her bag of dicks. Because what's happened here? What's changed here? Nothing has changed. It's the same actual problem. Let's go through another term here that's thrown around a lot. Since women are worried about seduction, let's look it up. All right, hold on a second here while I bring this up. And they had the definition. Hold on a second. Okay, we got this. Let's make this bigger. Share this. Share. I wouldn't have a problem with it as long as we had better male outcomes. But if we're giving women better outcomes, then nah, man, we're not doing that. So. Let's talk about seduction, folks. Seduction is the process of deliberately enticing a person to engage in a relationship to lead astray as from duty, rectitude, or the like, to corrupt, persuade, induce, and to engage in sexual behavior. Strategies of seduction include conversation, sexual scripts, paralingual features, nonverbal communication, and short-term behavioral strategies. So if you're an expert at seduction, you're not a deliberate person, right? You think you're doing this for everybody's greater good? You're not. This is why seduction has always been used when women get access to men that they normally wouldn't sleep with. But when men use it, it means something else totally. So what they're doing is they're giving women sexual cover to doing, no, it isn't, Nick Penn. It's actually dishonesty, dressed up as an actual social pathology. But you need to see this. So when you think you're actually seducing a woman with this actual bullshit, the only thing you're doing is deliberately trying to entice a person with all the shit that you got. It's an actual non-genuine pattern to get access to non-genuine people that's going to give you a result that's not going to work for you. In short, manipulation. To actually think that you're getting a prize out of something when she's actually getting a prize out of you. Because we can see this thing all the way through when it comes to the legal system and everything else. And especially with the Weinstein case that ended, how they can all of a sudden retroactively take back consent so long as they had a drink of any kind or any type of drug. This is exactly what it is. They can come back right after you. You see, this is why you self-improve and you leave all this stuff alone. You see, when you self-improve, you're not going back to old circumstances. Because acting like this deliberately, that doesn't take long at all. And this has nothing to do with giving you a better deal. It has everything to do with giving you sexual access according to giving her the best deal possible. Like I said, it's about where you spend your self-improvement. It's not where it is how you try to get it. Again, they're not giving you access to fresher women. They're giving you access to ran through women. That is what this is about. And how the hell are you supposed to get to male agency through giving away your partially self-improved self to somebody who don't respect production? This is why you see people be happy that the system is the way it is. They're not trying to change anything. Why? They're benefiting from the system the way it is. You don't see a person benefit from an actual system that actually isn't agreeing with them somehow. So you have to understand that you can't hide behind shame and language. You can't hide behind, if you get access, you'll be a happier person. No, you won't. Because if they ain't got no actual results, who the hell has them? It's the people of other cultures who's not dealing with this shit in this way. The outcome of game isn't better boys. The outcome of game is probably better women. And the women who are at the end of their actual vitality right now are the ones who you should not be picking up, period. You are to exchange productivity for cultured women who understand the path of that. And the moment she doesn't show that, you are not to work through a damn thing. You are to get out of there immediately. That's because I specifically told them not to, soldier of TMH. That's not what we're talking about. We're not here to discuss those type of things. We're here to try to get better men out of this. I'm not trying to give women a better deal through sexual access. Because deliberately starving a man through sexual access and all of a sudden deliberately sitting around a man that you know damn well you shouldn't be around in order to get things to try to feed other reptiles with is something we shouldn't be allowing or endorsing on any type of measure. It doesn't take much to be productive, man. It's all about where you spend it and who you spend it with, which is the answer to the question. And this is why self-improvement for women is a fraud and a con, and it's very fucking stupid. There's nothing wrong with the social aspect and portion of learning how to talk to people in certain situations. But you need to make damn sure that you're not rewarding bad actors and actresses, so to speak, through this actual system. Because if men don't reach their full level of productivity, we're never going to be able to get out of this mess that we're currently in. Game doesn't add any type of resolution to that. Since another 50-year-old fuck nigga yesterday talked about, or maybe this morning, about the highest level of the game. You know what the highest level of the game is, folks? Not fucking playing. Not fucking playing. You think people over here is actually running shit, running game? No, man, they got businesses and they actually doing shit. They ain't trying to get in between the legs of some stupid ass fucking ran through fucking woman. Because game don't give you access to fresh women unless you go to a fresher place where they are. You need to be productive, folks. And you need to not do all this stupid ass shit to try to attract somebody who's only going to be there temporarily. That's the shit we see today. So again, there's a greater conversation to be had here. Because basically, I want everybody to continue what they're doing. And I wish them the best success at doing it. I wish Obsidian keep going, keep doing what he's doing, because guess what? That problem's still here. I want everybody else to keep doing what they're doing. Hopefully we all have a good result. Because if we're just collecting money off of a problem, then the racketeering charge is going to be coming towards your ass. So that's all I got on this subject. I'm not here for the women to win. I don't give a shit about them. If they're not here producing toward the actual productive result of a family or a man, I don't give a shit about them. They don't count. Most of these women don't count in this space anyway. They're just looking for compromised men to try to break up anything that happens. What's going on, Mike V? So we got to be realistic about the path that we're going down. So that way we don't keep repeating this cycle over and over again. So listening to all that, do you really think me having more access to these women that are the fucking problem is going to make me think differently? No, it's going to make me think the fucking same. I've been socialized to not see these motherfuckers as human beings. I've been socialized to not see these people as viable people to deal with. And if we're going to make it anywhere as actual men, you need to do the same. If it's okay for them to openly fucking recruit, it should be okay for me to openly fucking recruit. Remember, bitches, you were barely fucking winning and we wasn't even fucking trying. Now, anytime you motherfuckers open your mouth, I'm gonna fucking drop a 10 square mile mountain on your fucking head. Because I'm not here to help these fucking women win any motherfucking thing. And yeah, you will get some of these compromised men and some of these older people in this space who believe in this black love shit. All that shit's gonna do is help you cover for their goddamn failures in life, man. All in all, we're going in a different motherfucking direction. You want to keep getting your masculinity verified by women who ain't gonna do shit but tear you out the fucking frame, that's on you. So from here on out, that's what it's gonna be. You have to late, be out here for another fucking hour, and then get the fuck up out of here. Thank y'all for coming through. 311 people in here. Like the video, please. Because the real thing is, If your ass was doing what the fuck you were supposed to, you wouldn't be on the fucking market as a woman, where you have complete fucking control. There's no reason for you to be on the market. Give a couple of minutes for people to come in here. I know we've been here for an hour. Go use the bathroom or fuck get some water or some shit. We're gonna talk about this shit today. I bring y'all up on this panel. We're not talking about that bullshit that happened yesterday. We're gonna talk about what the fuck we talking about this subject is. All right? I'm not bringing any of that bullshit into my fucking stream. You might want to ask your motherfucking self, where the fuck are the pro-blacks at? You might want to ask yourself, the people who care about the fucking black family, where the fuck are they at? The people who care about the actual fucking betterment for black men, where the fuck are they at? You're being socially engineered to work through somebody, not work with somebody. You're working through. Thanks for the $2 super chat, Nick Town Flight. So this is the problem here. We're not going to be able to keep moving forward with compromised men amongst us, trying to keep this bullshit going, man. Yeah, the link's out there. I'll put it out there again. Hold on a second. I used the motherfucking bathroom, so shit, hold on a second. I'll give people a minute, and then I'll be back. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat, Nick Penn. Hey, y'all muted. All right.
What's up? What's up?
What time, Monty?
It's not gonna be interesting. What's going on, everybody? I'm sorry, man, but from my point of view, for anybody else who's on here, we're at war with these fucking animals, and I have no fucking intention on watching their fucking numbers grow. Not on my fucking watch. So I know that's not y'all opinion, but that's definitely my opinion. What's going on, Solo?
What up? What up? What up?
What's going on, man? Oh, should I have some people super chat? Hold on a second. Let me scroll up here.
I'm late. I'm late, so I apologize. What's the topic? I know there's, you know what I'm saying, but
Wait, hold on. Nick Pan, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. 1995 store, thanks for the $5 super chat. Jamal White, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. And Great Britain, thanks for the $5 super chat. All right, man. So we're basically talking about the what's going forward in the future, that we shouldn't be selling out our fucking people to this bullshit. They're helping these fucking women to win. I have no interest in that kind of stupid shit. That's what we're talking about here. It's not really what happened yesterday, even though it could be kind of tied to it. But that's what I'm talking about here. So, Obsidian, what's going on, man? Wayman Brown, thanks for the $2 super chat. Obsidian. All right. Hulk.
Hey,
what's going on,
What's up?
MOT?
Wait,
You got it. Oh, man. Go ahead.
No, I just I'm getting ready to go on air in another hour, and give my take on the big
We're not talking about that shit, man.
last night. But
Obsidian.
since you my name is in the title, and I'm always willing to come chop it up with the brothers and answer any questions they may have. So that's why I'm here, MOT, to answer any questions that you may have with regard to my activities. Fire away.
I have a question.
Wait, hold up. Wait, actually, you know what? Go ahead, Solo.
I have a question. Obsidian, I did see the C Boogie and Donovan Sharp live stream, and I was kind of shocked, to be honest. Do you feel that? I don't know if you saw their live stream. I'm assuming you did, but do you feel that their displeasure with you is warranted or not?
To some extent, yeah, it is warranted. I mean, look, the simple truth is that C Boogie lost. And instead of gracefully, accepting defeat, I've been a boxer in my life. I've been a wrestler. I played baseball, played sports. And, one of the things that you are supposed to do as a sportsman is to be gracious in defeat. And the simple truth was that this whole thing got started because he lost in a de facto debate. He lost. And so now we got to go back nearly 5 years into the mist of antiquity to dredge up that has nothing. Let me finish. To dredge up somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with the Black Manosphere, with online stuff, instead of dealing with what he said and what I say, and we hashing it out, and the better man winning. He couldn't accept that. So that's why we're at where we're at right now. I've learned as a boxer, a wrestler, a martial artist, playing baseball, I've learned that when the better man won, or in the case of baseball, when the better, team wins, you congratulate that team and you go back to the drawing board. You don't say, well, what about your girl 5 years ago? I mean, really? And what's fascinating to me about all this, and I'm going to talk about this later when I go on the air in roughly an hour, is that instead of talking about that, okay, who has the better argument? Instead of talking about that, we want to talk about somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with any of this, because they're butthurt because they can't beat me on this field of battle.
Well, allegedly, Obsidian, you were disparaging Donovan Sharp's girlfriend. That's why he felt a certain type of way, sir. Do you deny that sentiment or agree with it?
That was a response. See, my thing with Donovan Sharp is, why is private matters a matter for public discussion? Why is that?
Well, I'm not here to cape for anybody. I'm just going off.
I didn't say that you should. I just asked, private matters. If I invite you if you invite me into your home, how would you like it if I go and talk to somebody else about what's in your home? Would you like that?
I wouldn't like that at all, sir.
Okay, then. So let me ask the question again. Why is private matters a matter for public discussion.
Because according to the people, they're saying that you made private matters public.
I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because the stuff that I talk about is personal. When I talk about black female obesity based on government statistics, I'm talking about your mama. I'm talking about your sister. I'm talking about your daughter. I'm talking about your auntie. That's why. When I talk about select fuck boys, when I talk about Pookie and Ray Ray, all that shit is personal. Don't shoot the messenger. Deal with the message. Deal with it. And the minute that C Boogie made this personal, he admitted that he lost. And what does that say about the select men? What does that say?
All right, well, I got a question that's not associated with any of that. That's Solo's question for you, but I got a question for you. You there?
Yes, go right on ahead. I'm going to be here for at least a half an hour.
Okay. Do you plan on continuing your commentary on the black community as you did before?
My book, the Book of Obsidian, half of the book is searing socio-political commentary. The entire half of the book is just that. Through the lens of dating and mating in contemporary black America. Matter of fact, the first section of the book is called Macro. The second half of the book, which I think you're probably concerned with in today's discussion, I refer to as the micro.
Okay. That's my only question, that you are going to continue your commentary about things that are true about the black community. I don't give a shit about any.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff. All right.
Matter of fact, this is the first of, God willing and the creek don't rise, this is the first of a series of books that I intend to write. This one will deal with dating and mating in contemporary black America from the perspective of, and I explicitly stated like this, the non-select guy. I heard what you said earlier, MOT. Let me make something clear to you and your audience. You have to understand, a lot of what I do is tongue-in-cheek and satirical, and it pokes fun at certain sacred cows. The argument goes like this: the alpha guys are just who they are, and women they like what they like, and the beta guys just have to accept their lot in life. Now, in Black America Online, shout out to Ron Wills, this has become select versus non-select. So what I did was I said, you know what? Let me take that argument, appropriate it. I appropriated Ron Wills' terms that he had been using for many years, and I simply turned it on his head. My simple question is this: if black women have been complaining about black men doing them wrong, and they have, it's documented, it's not my personal opinion, this is documented. If that is the truth, that's the thing, then my question is this: if the non-select guys by definition ain't getting chose, they ain't getting the pussy, black women don't like them, then my question becomes, who are the guys that are making black women's lives so miserable? Every time I ask that question, it gets quiet. Isn't that interesting? And notice now, the guys who see themselves as select, see how they're. Now Ron Wills wants to rejigger what the whole select non-select paradigm. He wasn't interested in rejiggering it.
Oh man, you're going in and out, man.
Yeah, it's because of Streamlabs. Streamlabs, for some reason, doesn't agree with me. I don't know why. I only have this trouble with Streamlabs. Never had this trouble with my Zoom. So I think it's a Streamlabs thing. Anyway.
MOT, can I ask another question real quick?
Hold on a second. So, Obsidian, were you done with your current statement?
Yes, go right on ahead.
Solo?
Okay, once again, I don't have a dog in this fight, right? I'm in the sideline, and I've known Obsidian a lot longer than most people probably, because I remember Obsidian from his blogging days. My question to you, Obsidian, is: it sounds like you and Donovan Sharp had like a relationship outside of YouTube, right? So my question to you is, have you reached out to him behind the scenes to maybe squash this? I'm just curious.
I actually have talked to him, but not about this. I have. The question is in reverse. The right question is, has he reached out to me in light of the fact that Alan Roger Curry talked about this? And I haven't said anything, but he's talked about this at least 2 years ago. I ain't saying anything on purpose. I just want to see what they're going to take it with it. See, I understand how black people think. Black people are very emotional people. You can't be dispassionate. It's personal. It's my mama. So, for example, like Computer Greek, here's my take in the chat room. He disparages the very women he talks about. But how do you know? Who am I disparaging? Who do you know? How do you know? Where's the pictures? Where's the evidence? If one thing you can say about Obsidian, I don't say anything without also presenting my sources. Everything I say and write, everything I say on these podcasts and live shows for the past 5 years, everything that I've said in print for the past 12, I always cite my sources. You may not agree with sources. You may not agree with me, but you can't say that I just shoot at the hip and talk out my ass. I always cite my sources. So I simply ask, how do you know, Computer Greek, who I'm disparaging if you haven't seen any evidence for yourself? Ralph Griff asks, okay, so is your girl a single mom? Yes or no? The answer is no. She's not.
Well, Obsidian, I got one criticism.
Yes.
I hope that you take to heart going forward here. We should not be making fun of people. I'm not sure what the dude's medical situation is, all right? He's a vet. I'm a vet. So most likely I'm going to side with him over you. I'm just telling you up front. So what I'm saying is we shouldn't be trying to get personal with people about any medical difficulties that people have, period. You should keep it.
People come after me, but for my disability all the time.
Obsidian, let me finish my criticism. So what I'm saying is, I know that it's happened in the past, but what I'm saying is that we should be able to make some type of accord to not do those type of things and keep it on the argument.
But we can't. It's black culture. It's personal. Roasting, toasting, capping, busting, playing the dozens. It's personal. We don't like dispassionate discourse. That's white. It's not real. It's not being authentic. It ain't being a real nigga.
All right, man. So can we, like I said, in the future, can we refrain from doing those type of things?
I'd love it. But the problem is many of my interlocutors are ill-equipped.
Obsidian, can I ask a follow-up question? And by the way, like I said, I don't have any dog in this fight. I'm simply going off of what the other party's saying. And, I do interviews myself on my channel, of course. So I like to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
C Boogie had mentioned that he had reached to you out in the past numerous times and had invited you to what I would call a truth, not a truth, but a truce conference, so to speak, where he would, pay for your meals and drinks. And he invited you to his little event that he had, where he said he would pay for your lodging, your stay, your food, but you declined. Is what he said true or not? That's what I care about.
Well, I don't know about the truth part, but he did indeed contact me via email, and he invited me to his self-improvement conference of roughly 3 weeks ago. I declined for a very simple reason. I'm knee deep in the midst of finishing my first book. As a matter of fact, I got writing. I've been writing, burning the midnight oil all night this week. Putting the finishing touches on the book. I got 2 more chapters, and I'm done. And then I got and that's just the first part of it. I still got a lot of work to do to bring the book out. So I'm knee deep in that. So if I wanted to go, I couldn't. So that's the simple reason why I didn't make it, is because I'm working on my book.
Okay. Now, Obsidian, I got another question. This is a little different question. Do you think it's simping for a dating coach to meet a woman and within 6 months of meeting her, get her knocked up, marry her, and then move her into his place? Do you think that's simping?
Well, I mean, by that logic, my dad would be a simp. He met my mom in the spring, early spring, like around this time last year. Well, no, technically not the spring, but you get what I'm saying. He met her, late February, early March, and by early.
But with all due respect, your dad, I don't think was or is a dating coach.
I beg your pardon?
I don't think your dad is a dating coach, though.
Well, here's the thing.
In modern times.
Pardon?
In modern times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like I said, by that stand, you're right, Solo. I mean, he didn't dating coach man. But I would say, to answer your question, I would say that man is more of a dating coach. If by that we want to use the metric of a man that has at least some relationship experience that can be verified, there are a whole lot of guys in the dating coach business that aren't married at all. Hill Harper's a case in point. He loves black women so much that last time I checked, he had an Asian woman on his arm. Nobody has a problem with that. Stefan Labossiere is single. Nobody has a problem with that. Michael Baisden is wonderfully single, as he says himself. Nobody has a problem with that. But he got a baby, but he got a daughter, though. Nobody has a problem with it. And in the case of Harper and Baisden, they have New York Times bestsellers. And nobody has a problem with that. The thing that's interesting to me about where your line of questioning is getting to, Solo, is I've noticed as I'm writing this book and I'm putting it together and it's getting closer and closer to fruition, all of these questions, I've noticed these questions have only been raised by black men. Black women have been largely quiet for whatever reason.
Yeah, can I jump in this?
Wait, hold on a second.
Black women have been, black men have been asking, certain black men have been asking these questions about qualifications. Again, last time I checked, Alpha Male Strategies is single. Alan Roger Curry is a confirmed bachelor. Hill Harper's a confirmed bachelor. Stefan Labossiere is a confirmed bachelor.
Wait. I'm sorry.
On and on.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Alan Roger Curry just announced that he was engaged a couple videos ago. So
that's recent. I mean, Roger Curry's in his latter 50s. He's staring down 60. So this event is very late in his life.
Okay, so you don't think it's simple if a man meets a woman and within 6 months he marries her and knocks her up within 6 months of knowing that woman? You don't think that's simple at all?
I don't think that's simple at all.
Okay, and then you don't think that contributes to the bastardization of these out of wedlock children? Because what is the link that a successful relationship could really last with somebody?
Are you saying that he married her shortly thereafter, or you say he didn't marry her?
Well, he says he's about to marry her.
He's about to marry her. So they met. She got pregnant, and he says they're about to get married.
They're engaged, sir. Correct.
They're engaged to be married. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think that's a simp. No.
Would you do that?
No.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right. So, Obsidian.
Yes.
Are you going to have a book signing in Philly when you do complete your book?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I intend to have a book tour. And I'm going to kick it off in here in Philly.
Is this a tour where people will be able to meet you physically or through a computer?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes.
So
which one is it, physically or through a computer screen?
Both, but you would definitely be able to meet me. You'll be able to meet because I'm going to do chats with people that want to do virtual chats with me. The whole shot, the whole Megillah. So yeah.
Like, dude, are you going to be public or not public present where you're going to be doing this book signing? Because I'm coming to first out.
Present, yes. Right. You'll be able to meet and greet and shake my hand, yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely coming the fuck out there, no matter when you do it. All right?
Yeah.
Boom. All right. Solo, any more questions before we move on?
Obsidian, if you need any camera work done, if you're in the area, I don't know if you plan on going to Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest, I'm down to do some pro bono work for you. The only thing I ask is I get a free signed copy of your book. That's all. And yes, I'm being a Negro right now.
And yes, people are saying, Obsidian, we were concerned about your safety. Yes, I will have mountain men on either side of me in pure and straight up Secret Service fashion. So everybody knows how to act, okay? Everybody knows how to behave themselves because I do have very big, large, dangerous men accompanying me. Yeah.
Okay. Solo, is this the end of your questioning?
MOT, I'm done. I mean, I really just wanted to ask a couple questions. I guess I only have one question, last question, Obsidian, just to follow up, because for me, I have relationships behind the scenes with YouTubers where we talk on the phone, and I don't know what the extent is with your relationship with Donovan. But I guess I'm a little baffled why this hasn't been hashed out behind the scenes. I guess that's what I'm wondering.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Okay. All right. So at least we got some light shedded on that particular subject. Thank you.
I'm here. I'm going to answer any questions anybody may have.
No, I said, I only had two questions. Is the request, obviously, because they're doing it on the other side, so that's kind of null and void. And where you're going to be doing a public book tour, so that way we can actually see you and shit. Yes. So you answered both of those questions. So that's all I got. Solo's criticisms. I'm glad he actually did it. So we can move on to what
I don't think I was criticizing him. I thought it was.
I'm talking about your questions through criticism, not through criticizing. Sorry about that. But yep, I am glad that both of y'all came on. So if these were unanswered questions, because I didn't watch the stream yesterday. So if this is additional information, I thank y'all for providing it. So Obsidian, I got another question.
Yes.
Do you actually think that things are changing in Black America from where you started doing your show? Do you think things are changing in Black America, the way the women are actually engaging with men in this sector?
Yes, I do. I think that I'll use myself as an example. Like I said, ever since I changed how I look and approach things, the ladies have gotten very quiet. Now, that doesn't mean that they give a full endorsement, but, they've gone from, attacking me, maliciously to just getting quiet. I've noticed the more I spiff, the more they get quiet. So I think that in itself is a marked change. I think that we've been under and you rightly point this out, MOT, in your work. We've been kind of set of rules. Like I look at it from the thumb on the scale, and it's never been a true even playing field. For example, you talk about productivity among men. That's a very important point, and that's something that I emphasize in my dojo, my guys in the dating arena. My position is that, and I even have I even email you a copy of it right now. You can take a look at it, MOT. There's the very last chapter of my book. The final chapter. Again, the book is divided into two sections. The first section is the macro. That's the broad overview of things from a bird's eye perspective of dating and mating in Black America today. The second half of the book is the micro. That deals specifically with the individual Black man, and I'm aiming it at the non-select guy. In the very last chapter of the book, I have what's known as the 10 Obsidian Commandments. And that is my personal statement on how basically rules that the non-select guys should conduct themselves by. And one of the things that I say in those 10 Obsidian Commandments is that a successful man is a busy man. If you're a brother that's got a lot of time on your hands, you watching YouTube all day, you are playing video games all day, you ain't about shit, you're always able to chop it up with women for 8-9 hours at a time, you're a loser. By definition, you're a loser. A successful man is a busy man. I ain't got time to be doing all that stuff all day long. This right here is work. Me appearing on your show to answer questions with the audience, that's work. That does not be just hanging out. That's work. I'm about to go to work again in 30 minutes. This is
Wait, Obsidian, do you think C Boogie's a loser, sir? Is that what you're saying or inferring?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a successful man is a busy man.
Also, C Boogie's not successful.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying
you
is,
consider C Boogie successful.
Pardon?
He just had a conference. I consider him moving up.
My statement had nothing to do with C Boogie. My statement had to do with my book.
Okay.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Successful man is a busy man, and it relates to MOT's off talking point, which I wholeheartedly agree with, about the importance of productivity. A successful man is a busy man, and a gentleman has a social life. So by definition, like I talk about the importance of having your calling card. Well, your calling card is your business card. I break down the history of it, all of that. Your calling card should tell someone what you do, what your kind of work is, what do you do for a living. That's it. It all knocks that out all in one hit, because a successful man is a busy man.
Fair enough. You're both busy. Hold on a second.
Oh, by the way, to the audience, I'm not trying to get Obsidian into gotcha questions. Obsidian is too smart for that. It's just I thought he was talking about C Boogie when he was talking about the long live streams and losers and such, because it seems like Obsidian at one point C Boogie looked at you as a mentor and you looked at him, you know, as one of your students, and then the rift kind of has drew you guys apart. Can your relationship with C Boogie ever be mended or no?
Stranger things have happened. I mean, only Nixon could go to China, right?
Okay. I mean, is that something you would like to reconcile with C Boogie too, so you guys are on the same page?
I'm open to talking to anybody, which is the reason why I'm here. I think I've proven, of all the black social media personalities out on social media, I'm probably the most accessible to the public, the most transparent, willing to talk to pretty much anybody. There's a gentleman in the chat room, Jeffrey A. He says, is a successful man often also busy on the weekends? I am. I worked on the weekends for 22 years straight before I even thought about coming on YouTube.
Okay, Obsidian. All right. We got Blackheart, who has a couple of questions. No repeat questions on Solo TV. And we ain't trying to start any more shit between those two people. So if your questions can follow that particular path, then you're allowed to ask your questions, Blackheart.
All right. Thanks a million. First off, how's my voice coming across?
Very clear.
Blackheart, what's going on, man?
Assalamu alaikum, Umiyah.
Well, alaikum assalam, good brother. You owe me a visit on my show too, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I got the email last year, 2019. Now I put it like this: where I am right now, it's 8:34 p.m. The 29th. So if you know that schedule, and I go to work tomorrow and I work until Thursday. So if you know that schedule, yeah, I'm ready for it.
We'll set up something for next Saturday.
Black enough for me.
All right.
Now my question, you partially answered it, but because I have to work, my question was just very basic, and that is, what's the book about exactly? That's the first question.
Yeah, the Book of Obsidian is a number of things. Like I said, it's divided into two sections. So it's part amateur sociological overview of dating and mating in the 21st century in Black America. The second part is something of a manual. As a matter of fact, that's the subtitle of the book, the Book of Obsidian. The subtitle is A Manual for the 21st Century Black American Gentleman. So it's half sociology, half dating coach manual for the non-select black guy. That's what it is. And I just finished the very first chapter of the book, which pretty much kicked things off in a big way. I think a lot of people are really going to like what I have to say in the very first chapter, which sets up everything for all the chapters after that. And if you want to read the introduction to the Book of Obsidian, I've made it available to the public. If you want to read it, it's over on my Patreon page. I'll put the link in the chat room.
All right.
Okay. Thanks a million. The second one.
No, wait, hold on. Like, Blackheart, how many more questions you got? So that way we can know how much time we're going to be spending on this, because I don't want Obsidian to be late for a show. So
gotcha. Yeah.
Time better. So what you got?
Yeah. It's one more.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, Obsidian, since you have changed your views as you get more information over the years, like your views about MGTOW changed when you got information. It changed about SYSBM when the information reached you. Will you be addressing that so that readers won't be able to come along and say that you were inconsistent? Because, I mean, will you be addressing that in the book so that they wouldn't be able to say this?
Well, not directly. I mean, the book is It's impossible for one book to cover issues that have been at least a half a century in the making in Black America, and mine sharper than mine with much more resources on hand have failed to be able to properly grasp all of this. So I'm under no illusions that I could do all of that in one book. So there's going to be a volume 2, and that's one of the questions I'm going to deal with. Is that you said this then, you say that now, and that sort of thing. Because Black folks love to play gotcha. So yeah, I'll address that in the next book.
Okay. Now part of your answer came through warbled. You were Borging in the first half, but when I go on your show or you come on my channel, either one, then I guess I use that time to cover it again. And man of tomorrow, thanks for your patience.
No problem. Hope.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all? So
I got a question. Old man that's not instigator of that bullshit, and anything else that we could directly question him about before.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the whole dating coach paradigm based on the complaints and the issues we have in the Black community, because it seems like we're trying to have honest discussions among a dishonest, dysfunctional people. And I think that we're like the whole dating coach thing. The problem I have with it, because it teaches men to conform to the dysfunction rather than raise their standards to rise above the dysfunction. And I think it sends a message that somehow, like the reason it gets personal a lot of times is because instead of looking at the results of the man, we're validating ourselves by the results of what women we get. And I think it's kind of destroying the whole dynamic of what our complaints and what we're trying to correct. If we're trying to correct something about this Black community, that we can't conform to this foolishness. We have to set a standard that we eliminate it from people who are trying to have better things and better values to not only produce, but just have dysfunctional families, dysfunctional relationships, and just put the right things ahead of us. Because it seems like we've acknowledged that let's talk about Black women. We've acknowledged that Black women in this current system, in this current culture, are going to, they're just not going to, on a large enough scale, do right. They're not going to come to men on a level where productive men produce their own value and women see that value, appreciate it, and come as feminine, cooperative women. I just think on a large scale, we're not getting that, and trying to tell guys to somehow date into a system that is against logic and order, it sends and I know we have our biological needs and all that, but I'm just saying, like, it's going to always create a rift because our culture is so backwards. Like this, like women are not the prize, and it's not even that our access to women or just sex in itself should prioritize the true problem in the macro, which is our ability to survive. And what's actually impeding that ability, starting from interacting with these women, how these women are actually distracting us and extracting resources and kind of destroying the whole focus of what a Black man needs to have in this culture and society to compete. And I think it's just kind of like throwing the whole dynamic off. If I came in this discussion, we was like talking about how the dating coach dynamic is kind of flawed in this dysfunctional, illogical society we live in. I'm just trying to follow the overall theme.
Was that a question?
No, I was just making my general statement. But to you, oh man, I'm going to say, like, how do you rationalize that as a dating coach when the women are not worthy? The women lack the values, first of all, to be valued, and on a macro level, and it's not conforming to the problem instead of raising our standards above the problem and eliminating a whole sector of people who are dysfunctional?
Well, I think that problem is solving itself. In my book, I have, I think it's 4 chapters on SYSBM. One of the last 2 chapters for the book, I have 2 chapters left, and one of them is going to be yet another chapter on the SYSBM question. I've written already 4, and that's going to be dealing with all. My thing with this is that, and the reason why I cite SYSBM is because your question is already being answered. Black men today are the least married men in the country by race. We're the largest cohort of confirmed bachelors 40 and over. 30% of Black men that are educated are dating and mating and marrying out. The younger generations of black men, I'd cite as a case in point, son of Ricky Smiley, Malik Smiley, are already starting out the gate doing this. He's a teenager. The SBM movement, which has been around since the 1980s, now is getting such a head of steam that not only have books been written about it, now you've got an entire movement online discussing it openly, where before it used to be in hushed tones on private chat rooms online. All of these go right to your point. Black women, as a matter of fact, I covered this on my weekly column, and I'm going to be covering it in my next book. The Black Spinster crisis is a very real thing. By the year 2040, almost 10% of black women today, by the year 2040, will be a spinster. That is to say, black women aged 25 today, in 40 years, roughly 10% of them will be the straight out spinsters, if not more. More black spinsters will exist in Black America than the entire city population of my hometown, 1.6 million in 40 years. So your question is already being answered.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed that a lot of the issues that men have right now is that women celebrate a culture of whoredom and prostitution, and they somehow have tried to flip that into dating and marriage. And and guys are not falling for it no more. We see what's going on. We see this manipulation game of women basically being whores and prostitutes and trying to make a claim on productive men while still having their sexual freedom to be as irresponsible and just dysfunctional as they want to be. And like, guys are just not playing that game because first of all, a lot of guys are waking up to see what the real issue is. And the fact is we need to be focused away from the women and focused on like developing our lives, personally as men, and then actually trying to build something in our lives to compete in this system so we can actually have some kind of economic control over ourselves to compete in this system, rather than having these women as some kind of anchor keeping us back into our muck, back into this so-called fake community that people want to claim exists, but there's no results of a community existing because we're not surviving. There's just individuals, some wise and some foolish, trying to avoid each other, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's just, I just see, I don't know. I can't, sometimes it's hard for me to look at the micro over the macro, because the macro is what we're all complaining about. We're just complaining about this lack of culture. The fact that women are not going to, they have no incentive in the current legal system and the current society and how men are viewed to come to us as actual feminine cooperative women. They have no incentive. They have every incentive to be a whore.
Yeah, like I said, all of that is already playing itself out. It's all over but the shouting. The black marital rate is at its lowest point in the history of black marriages in the United States, as per the United States Census. It's all over but the shouting. My book aims to give black men options, be that black women in country, black women outside of country, or just women, period, either in country or out of country. That's what, and like I said, I've written at least 4 chapters regarding the SYSBM movement. I have one final chapter to write, so that'll be 5 chapters in all. So I think the book will address the SYSBM issue as it relates to what you're talking about fairly well, fairly in depth, addressing of that issue.
Yeah, because what SYSBM, for me personally represents is just better choices and avoiding dysfunction. And I have another question. Don't you think it's time that we should get rid of this select, non-select talking point, or whatever you want to call it, because it does not bring the narrative from the problem instead of, because if you allow women to determine a dysfunctional woman, a woman who lacks the values and is not honest to determine what is valuable, who is valuable in society, isn't that kind of counterproductive?
Well, here's the thing with that. Again, all of your questions essentially amount to whether or not there's a self-correcting mechanism. There's a self-correcting mechanism at work here. So, black women are free to choose whoever they want. But the question then becomes, what are the consequences of those choices, and how will black men outside of that react? And I'm saying to you, we have more than ample evidence of the consequences being pretty severe for many black women. I mean, look at all the black women over the past 2 years alone on social media crying and whining and moaning about not being protected, for case in point. And on the other side of it, black men responding in the form of SYSBM. I mean, that's just one example of many of black men reacting and responding. So, there's nature always has a self-correcting mechanism. It's known as homeostasis.
Yeah, I agree.
Nature has a way to correct for all of this. So, and we're seeing that correction playing itself out. The black manosphere, in many ways, the very existence of the black manosphere is a kind of course correction, to use a stock market term, is a kind of market correction. So it will continue. And I'm hoping that my book will, further, or put it this way, I hope my book will be a contribution in furthering the conversation and moving it along those lines.
Right. Okay. I'm past the mic.
All right, cool. Old man, is there any more things that you want to clear up or any criticisms before you get up out of here?
No, I really appreciate you taking the time. We would love to come back and discuss it more in depth. Any questions that you have, MOT, you know how to reach me. You got my email, got my business number. Anytime you want me to come back and chop it up some more, be it into context of a panel discussion or just one-on-one, and however you want to do it, I'm available. Just hit me up.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you not taking the conversation too far off kilter and staying with the actual in line of the topic. So thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much. I'm always willing to answer questions. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for listening. On Mixler in 13 minutes. Thank you.
All right, have a nice one, man. All right, so back to what we were talking about earlier. Blackheart, you said you wanted to add some criticism because you were a pro-black of how you see the current situation. I'm interested in that commentary.
Well, to be fair to it, I still consider myself pro-black, but I say I used to be because I understand that many people in the B1 network will probably take issue with me saying that, and then turning around and telling black men in the West, not just the United States either, but in the West in general, to get passports and to never again consider pursuing African American women or black British women for that matter, or black Canadians as well. So I understand they may say, well, that's not really pro-black, even though I recommend marrying across cultural and national boundaries within our race.
Correct. I mean, because they're doing the same thing. Because they're marrying their fellow niggas, and they want us to do the same thing. So they are marrying within their culture, and they're dealing with people within their specific culture, right? So I don't. Hey man, like to each his own. It's just that I don't want productive men being the actual scapegoat or fall guy for the choices that the women made. I think that we're all adults here. I don't think that people should be socialized into actually making decisions that are not good for them, that are not good for black people, period. I don't give a shit if you're a black woman. I still don't want you going out here making dumbass decisions, ruining your body, and then expecting everybody else to fix this shit in the end. But that's been the current, culture that we have, because the culture has slid from productivity to look, swag, and everything else that pretty much bows down to an actual what a woman wants, through what a bitch thinks and what a bitch does kind of mind frame. So it's like what's being taught in Black America is how to be compromised, not how to be independently productive and pick and choose a mate. It pretty much assumes you're never going to make, or presupposes you're never going to make any progress. So you should be picked by whatever you get picked by, and that should be good enough for you. And that's not how any operating society pretty much works. And we have the actual outcomes and the statistics to prove that it is not a good idea.
That's exactly where we have the split, where I and they tend to have the split. You see, what I wanted to point out to many of us on this side who have some sort of red pill awareness, who've been awakened, I wanted to point out that there are many guys that are actually somewhat new. They're not new to being pro-black, but they may be new to the B1 network, or they may be new to that particular group, if you will, on social media. Now, many of them really don't mean any harm. That's the funny thing. I wish I used to be that way. I used to say, when if you're black, you marry black strictly. Now I tend to say the same thing, not just for the purpose of protecting our phenotype and that sort of thing, but also I tend to say that because not looking like the rest of us, I get to hear what people of other races say about us when they don't know one of us is there, and it is nasty. So I don't. I know that we can't trust many other people. The only exception I know of have generally been certain Southeast Asians that really don't have a grudge. They truly don't, as a whole, I mean. But just about every other group of people, the majority of them have some kind of issue with not even the culture, but just with the DNA and the phenotype. And having bigger hands and bigger feet and wider noses. That's where it starts, and everything else is just icing on the cake. And so I tend to say, yeah, you can't necessarily trust a lot of them. But by the same token, a lot of the B1 guys who want to limit us, uh, they don't they really think that what they're doing is they're just trying to protect a particular race of people that everybody else or they think everybody else wants extinct. And that's why I have to step in and say to them, no, actually, not all of them want us extinct. They just don't want to become us. They don't want to add to our numbers. They don't want the grandkids being us. But I do want many of us to understand that a lot of them really, they truly don't mean harm per se. They just don't have the foresight, and they don't have the experience with other groups to understand that nobody is pure anything anyway. And um, they don't really have and you pointed this out, and so is Obsidian. They don't have the personal fortitude to say, okay, you know what? My mama effed up, my grandmom effed up, my aunt effed up. She lied to me about what women want in the first place, kind of trapping me in this bag. And still, what that does is that actually decreases our numbers, because I'm not ever going to be chosen, not because something's wrong with me, but because I can't read their minds and tell that my own female relatives lied. And so that actually that decreases the numbers overall, and it decreases the quality of those numbers. So
Yeah,
we
I mean,
have fewer.
because everybody's talking about having numbers just to have them, but nobody is really talking about the quality of the numbers that we are creating. It's kind of like, in order to keep the legs open, we're willing to have all of these quality bad or not quality based bad outcomes just because they're black, rather than trying to have people actually be with each other because they are black. So what I'm saying is that we should just step back from this situation and be like, look, if men picked what was in their best interest, like women picked what was in their temporary best interest, we would be better off as men and women, because the men would pick the people who they want, and the women would be able to pick the men who they're trapped with. So that way, the quality men, although numbers are numerous, can actually be able to move on. Like, my actual idea is leave these people alone. Focus on your productivity first, and make sure you spend it in a place where it's going to be appreciated and reciprocated. That's all I want in this actual scenario here. So it's not like I'm disregarding actual women. I'm disregarding them based on the metric that they bring to the table, not because they are black.
Exactly, exactly. And many of them, unfortunately, many of the pro blacks, they heard, they don't listen in depth when they're new, of course, because when you're new, you run off half cocked very easily.
Also,
We've
let me
seen
read the
people do
super
this.
chat. Thanks for the $10 super chat, Cole World. Well, go ahead.
So when people are new, they tend to run off half cocked with a little bit of knowledge. We've heard that expression, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. So when they first hear the first few sentences of what we're about, they get triggered because they've heard other people say similar things. And the thing is that, like, they've heard the Indians say, "Oh, the white girls look the best, and if I can't get one, then I'll marry an Indian. But God forbid a black woman." They've heard other people say similar things, and I mean other melanated people, other non-whites. They've heard them say similar things. So when they hear the first few sentences from us, they think that they really do think that we're no different. They don't understand that there's a difference between what they heard before and what we're saying, which is we're saying you pick based on quality, and you have to ditch what doesn't work. But what they heard before was people actually just expressing a white supremacist brainwashing and aspiration based therein. And so a lot of these guys who just, I guess what I'm saying is that as they hear more and more of what we're saying, we could actually expect their numbers to sort of dwindle, much like the NOI did after Malcolm came back from Mecca and told what he'd seen, and then people left and followed him. I'm thinking that I suspect that that's what's going to happen in the future.
Okay. I got a question here from the chat for you from Supreme King Coon. What has the black race done as a group to help black men in the last half a century?
That, uh, what have we done? I think the best thing we've done is repatriate. Those of us who did it, I think the best we've done has been to repatriate. But we've seen the history. We have certainly tried to do plenty. I'm not saying we've always succeeded, but we have been trying to do plenty. And the one thing I regret, though I'm sorry, the one thing I do not regret doing about the situation is getting my passport and a skill set and going somewhere else. Um, Personally, I don't regret that because I've tried many things, but this is the one thing that has not made me look back and say, "Damn, I shouldn't have done that."
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, the niggas first movement has pretty much destroyed black people, and we have to be able to move on from the concept of try to make peace with niggas. We need to be able to just move on as decent black American citizens and move on and do some other shit. Because we can't be trying to keep making peace with people when we got a fucking war to fight. We
Yep.
can't be fighting this shit in house. I'd rather people move the fuck on from this actual concept of thinking that you're gonna get these people to change their minds with all the miles that they have on them. So, for me personally, I just want people, men and women, to move on from this concept. Let the decent people be with the decent people. Let the women choose what they want to choose. Let the fuck niggas still be chose by what they want to be chose by. If they want their masculinity to be graded like that, despite the return on investment, I would like for them to do that. It's just that we need to be able to move on from this actual thing of thinking that the women are on the verge of some type of breakthrough. They're not on some verge of type of breakthrough. They're on the verge of getting another man that they don't fucking deserve. But
Well,
there's really no
Danielle,
output anywhere else. So
Danielle said the exact same thing you did. I don't know her last name and I don't know her channel, but she
who?
was on a. Her name is Danielle. She spelled it with a YELLE at the end.
You
I heard
mean
her on the live.
Stewart?
I no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But she may have been on there with Sister George. She
Oh,
was on
okay.
a live stream, and I remember that BGS was on the same live stream. And she said, "Black women." She told the men on there, "We are not going to change for the better until you leave."
Well,
She
that's
was
BGS
unaware of.
Gilmore, and there's BGS for Women's channel, and that's the criticism that one of the women who was on that channel, I forget who that was. Maybe it was her, but I'm not sure because it's never been revealed who said it. But yeah, that criticism is basically true. But that type of leaving, I don't think would would do nothing but just deprive them of what they wanted in the first beginning. It's almost like they have to be left alone for a while for this shit to actually change. I'm just saying, look, we need to make a decision and we need to make it now because we're running this type of spin cycle of repeating the same conversations over and over again, and there ain't no real progress. Not that I'm the arbiter of anything around this motherfucker except for trying to move men in a different place because I personally think that black women are their own group that maintains their power. We just seen it through the actual criticism of Snoop Dogg when it came to Kobe Bryant. They could come together when they want to come together, but they always come together to like take down black men. They don't come together to like bring the abortion rates down. They don't come together to like stop these stupid ass choices from being made and the bad outcomes that come with it. It's like they only come together to maintain their power source. And that doesn't really work well for the actual outcome of everybody within the actual group for the most part.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't help us. It only helps them, and even doesn't help them in the long run.
No, it doesn't.
Um, yeah, because they don't understand. Um, a lot of them they don't realize what it is that these folks really think about them. That's where a lot of sisters, oh, if you want to call them sisters, that's where a lot of them fall off. Well, let's say a lot of Western black women, they fall off. They kind of set themselves up. They don't understand how they're actually viewed in the eyes of Mr. Charlie. And the only reason I know again is because I've been in cases. Before I left the U.S., I was in situations where I was able to hear this stuff. And truth be told, almost the last year that I lived in the states, almost. I spent 14 months being able to hear this stuff, things that they were saying, and they pretty much. It's sad to say, but they kind of overestimate. Now they don't tend to overestimate their esteem or their station in his eyes when we're not around. But when we are around, that's when they tend to overestimate their esteem in his eyes because they intrinsically know that they're on top of us and we're the only ones they're on top of. And so when they're in the job market or when they're in the job place and we're not there, or I'm the only one of us that's there and they don't know me yet, the idea tends to be that, okay, I'm at the bottom. I got to face racism and sexism. I got to be on my P's and Q's. But then when they either understand who I am and what I am, or another one of us joins, then traditionally what's happened is that they've taken on the view that they're going to earn stripes by telling him or me to be submissive. Now, I'm not saying this has been all the time. I remember in 2005, I didn't see this a whole lot. Actually, I saw a case where several of them banded together to defend my job and another brother's job from New Jersey because there was a white woman that was trying to get the black men fired. She felt the threat from the black males and was trying to get us fired. So I want to give credit where it's due. But since that time, what I began to see was were different situations. And one time it took a white woman to defend me from two sisters that were trying to get me through the program.
Dude, I had that so many times, man. It boggles the mind. Like I had more job offers from like white HR people who actually fought to get me inside of a company, far more than black women. Like most of the HR professionals I know that will hire black men in a fucking heartbeat, and they'll do anything to get these motherfuckers on, are people who are white. Goodness. It's never been black women for the most part. I mean, you know, they don't even hire black men when it comes to, they get these federal contracts and shit, $1 billion fucking contracts. They don't even try to go into like the AFL-CIO or even trying to form any type of union to get training for the actual contract to be done. They just give it to somebody else. It's just fucking bullshit. Like what I'm talking about is factual shit that's actually fucking happening. And you're not going to be able to say that I suffer some red pill rage shit, so therefore I should bypass the fucking actual criticism that should be had here. There is actual problems that are going on here. All you have to do is look cross-culturally. Everybody else isn't operating like these people are operating. And now they're trying to lock the door and trying to keep these dudes in. I'm like, look, that appeal that you had from like first grade to like 12th grade, maybe into your 20s, that shit ain't gonna happen when you come 30. So I'm just telling men we need to be our own group and work with the women who want to work with us. All these other motherfuckers, let them go. They're not part of our fucking group. They already have created their own group outside of us. What's going on, Miss Fantastic? So what I'm pretty much saying here is that we need to be able to move the conversation to another place. So that way productivity can happen. Now, this is why I want to keep up this shit, because there are certain people who are still going through this shit every day. And I don't agree with calling motherfuckers red pill rage and none of that shit. I'd rather these people talk about the shit that's actually going on in their fucking life rather than pulling some strap and doing something fucking stupid with it. That's what happened when men be around or socialize around some shit that they shouldn't be fucking taking for a while, and then the dude fucks around and do something fucking really ridiculous. Feel like, oh, I wonder why he did that. I'm like, what? Damn, you never gave the dude an actual option to fucking talk about his actual fucking issues, and this is the result. So this is just where we're at, man. We need to move this fucking conversation forward, because this shit staying right here ain't doing nobody no fucking good. Not the men and not the fucking women. I'd rather the women work with the fucking women to solve their fucking issues within their group. However they're going to solve it. I don't know how the fuck they're going to solve it. This is why they have to work with each other. But I know men need to work with men to solve our fucking issues on this side. Because to me personally, there's not enough room on the clock for them to change. There's not enough room on the clock for them to gain a track record that they change. And there's definitely not enough room for them on the clock to get them an actual productive dude at the end of the day after they fucking change. I don't think that there is any time for all that shit. I think that we got to grab and fucking go in another direction. I mean, they got the grab and go nigga system. We got to get like the fucking grab and go cooperative woman system. You got to beat the current system there that's fucking everything up with an even better system. This is why I'm choosing to empower men with choice rather than let women sit there and be empowered by their choice. Because this shit haven't gotten any better over 40 something years. And the only thing we've seen is linear regression. That's where we're at. What's going on, King Sigma? Yeah, but that's where we're at, man. So
Well, I do recommend pushing it forward too. I try to push it forward, and that's part of why. One of the things I do, that's one reason that I've recorded some of my religious messages, but I'm not going to talk about that on here. And that's also one of the reasons why I've said that brothers need to start looking at getting skills and getting the passports and saving up. That's why one reason why I said we need to look at repatriation, not to say that we all have to go to the same place, because you don't expect any one nation to take in overnight several tens of millions. But
no,
it's
exactly.
just why I've said that we got to look at this kind of repatriation while we're coming from a position that other people perceive is enviable. Because see, when you wait until you're in a Syria-like situation to scatter, everybody wants to close the doors and the borders to you. Your passport becomes worthless. You don't want it anymore. But if you leave while people think that everything is sweet and you go abroad, that does two things. One, it pushes the conversation forward. And secondly, it puts you in a position to do what the Lebanese did. The Lebanese are together. Now, they're not all together with each other. They're actually very divided from each other. But when you're not Lebanese and you come into their circles, you then see how united they are. So the divisions are, and they're especially going to hide it from you if you're darker than them. So that's if you're black, or even if you're Pakistani or Southern Indian, you're not going to see the internal divisions. But what I'm saying is that they could tell you what the truth is about their country. So we are in a position to where we could tell everybody what the truth is about the states in person, face to face. And they can tell if you're lying when you're talking to them face to face. You're not in the chat room anymore. That's one thing. And then secondly, of course, it does put us in a position where we can look and say, well, whatever we have built, if it's a small fortune or big fortune, you can look at how you're going to pass that on as a legacy without having to worry about only having a choice of somebody that's going to squander it. Because what is true in the States, and you've been right about this, and you're not the only one that said this, what is true in the States is that you don't really have, the man isn't the one that doesn't have much of a good option. He may have numerical options, but he doesn't necessarily have quality options. Whereas the women have quality and some numerical options, at least when they're young. They just don't want them, but they do have them at some point in their life. They can choose different types. Whereas for us, it's like we get 30. Guess what? You don't have kids. She's bringing someone else to the table, and she's telling you that there's no deal if you're not raising them like they're yours, even though she would have never had them for you. So we are dealing with a situation where the choices aren't equal, and it puts us in a position where now the choices are equal, and we can tell everybody what we've actually been through in the States face to face, and they can understand, okay, this is not TV, this ain't a chat room, this man's not lying about what's going on.
Correct.
And it does put
let me
us in
cut
a
something up
position
real
where
quick
we prefer.
before you continue. Hey man, where the fuck is my 11 dislikes, man? Y'all motherfucking fuck niggas just took my fucking dislikes away. Put it back. Put it back. The fuck? Go ahead, man.
So that was it. The last thing I was going to say is that it puts us in a position where we can actually become preferred over Master Charlie, because that's already happening in some parts of the world where we're now becoming preferred. There's a shift in my job field where the students now are beginning to prefer us more so than Zaddy, if you will.
Yeah.
Hey, can I add something to it?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm done. I'm listening.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, bro. And I'm just going to add to it. We have to stop believing that we have to negotiate with dysfunctional women. Like a lot of guys feel like they have to negotiate with some women. It's like two people trying to get to a destination reading a map, and one is blind and one can see, and you're trying to give the one that's blind just as much leverage or control as the one who can see. And that's what the whole, conforming yourself to a woman and try to meet her needs on her level when her level is wrong is doing in this whole mindset. It's like we got to stop believing that we have to negotiate with people who clearly hate the values and hate the structure that's needed for, um, first of all, black society to progress, and just it's against manhood. These women are against manhood. The fundamental issue of a man is to be able to survive and thrive in his environment. And these women are against that. You cannot build, work, or cooperate. You cannot function or interact with someone like that. So I think men just have to believe that you don't have to negotiate. You just have to raise your standards to eliminate people who are against you. And then the people who are for you will be wise enough to meet you at that level.
Correct. I mean, because Hope, you can't be on this ever living hunt for shit that ain't there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like like you're looking for something that's not really there. And I mean, if you want sexual access, I understand that. That's great. It's just that, man, I don't want no fucking kids to be born out of this shit that everybody else has to fucking deal with. And that's pretty much the problem here that I'm talking about. The outcomes,
Right.
the reading, the math scores for the kids, and all that kind of shit. You know, I would rather more decent numbers to be created than just having black numbers. Period.
Yeah, because these
And
ghettos is
yeah,
what mainstream society are using as a lens to basically say this is what black people are. And we're trying to separate from that image. And there are other people who are trying to promote that image and say, yeah, it's all about the hood. You ain't from the streets. You ain't nobody. Man, we gotta get away from that, because that image is destroying all black people and making it hard for us to be seen on our merit, because they're looking at how the dysfunctional people are trying to step in and represent the whole of black people. So I think the more people that separate from that, they'll see it'll become more obvious there's a separation between the productive, wise black folks and the fools.
Exactly.
yeah. What's going on? Thanks so much, Hulk. What's going on? That's fantastic.
Yo, what up? What up? What up? What's going on with you, man? What's going on with you fellas?
What's going
What's
on,
up,
man?
man?
Nothing
Yeah,
much.
shout out to everybody on the panel, man.
Grown men talk up here about the future of where the fuck we need to be going, and making sure that we're not really getting off the ball, and making sure we still self-improving for the right reasons, rather than trying to hand the dating industry an easy win. So I brought Obsidian up earlier to make sure that he was going to continue his true criticisms of what's going on, despite what's going on in the household. So everything seems to be on track, man. So what's going on?
Not much, man. Shout out to brother Blackheart, man. I've been trying to catch up, running to this dude, man, for the longest, bro. Y'all, hey, if y'all not subscribed to Blackheart, man, y'all better subscribe to Blackheart, bro. He been doing this thing for a while, like putting in really serious work. And I think you and him have some of the best suggestions of all, man. He's talking super serious and super important to globalization of the black man. I think it's so many of us that get caught up in the limitations of well, I'm a nigga, and oh, nobody likes niggas, and so on and so forth. And like you say, man, that stigma for the black man, bro, is not like this worldwide, man. The way you're treated in the States, and we're not just talking about pussy, we're not just talking about women's selection, like you said, even from a business aspect, the black man has been respected because of just his worldview by the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Smiths, the who else is a good business model, a myriad of people that's not just athletes and entertainers, but professionals. So I think, man, like he said, we have to start setting up these hubs for brothers. Correct. In every part of the world we possibly can, not just Africa. I know, and this not to disparage Africa, but everybody says, "Oh, go back to Africa, go back to Africa." Well, again, what about China? What about Australia? What about Europe? What about hell, Russia? The places where you can get in, you can fit in, and that's what every other culture does. Is they set up this? They use the United States as a satellite. And that's why you hear about these people sending money back home. You know what I'm saying? They use, because what? Your money stretches longer back at the home places. So just imagine, man, especially for you brothers that are in the military, and you're either retired or you're getting a disability or something like that. Just imagine, man, you go to a place where your money stretches, 30 to 1, some ratio like that. How powerful is that to set up a business, to set up a hub for brothers to come and start buying property or so, and just being that liaison for other brothers to get established. So again, man, most important, bro. If your guys are not, if you are not subscribed to Blackheart, bro, you tripping and you cheating yourself a lot. But the brother just dropped major gems and bombs in that statement, man.
Even though he somehow think I'm better than him. And I told him that he made a better video than I did, but he don't want to believe me though. But that's all right.
Well, thank you both for the compliment. From the bottom of my black heart, thank you both for the compliments. I mean that. And in all honesty, I don't want to say to eliminate Africa. I simply want to say that we have a bunch of places to look into. And now, Mr. Fantastic, you pointed out how we're not necessarily hated everywhere we go. This is important for us because right now, Hollywood's images, we would wonder why Hollywood would put out the same images that they've been putting out. But now I understand it. Since I've gone abroad and I visited different areas, live in one country and visited different areas, I've now come to understand why they're doing it. They're putting out the same images because they realize that while we may have some respect, especially those of us that are American, they want to change that so that people will also be afraid of us. Even if they're fascinated, they want people to be more afraid of us. But it's also to brainwash black people abroad about what they are. It's also done to brainwash other black people. And I saw it in the elevator in Dubai last summer. There was a white and black couple. He was black, she was white, but both were French, and they spoke French. And when he heard me talk to her, apologizing for bumping into her accidentally, I apologized in English because I knew she didn't speak Arabic. So then she told me with a French accent, oh, it's no biggie. But when I spoke English, her man, a brother, French brother, heard my accent, and he said to me, oh yeah, we niggas. So he called us niggas because he thought we were supposed to be, we're supposed to be like that. And he did the fake swagger and everything because that's what he'd seen on TV. So the images now were not just for the purpose of brainwashing the US anymore. They're trying to globalize the bad guy image. And so, yeah, the quicker we get away and the quicker we let them see us face to face, the sooner we had that effort off, inshallah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Asian bow shit. It's just being a nigga on command and somehow you're going to get through. Like, So what I'm pretty much saying here is that you need to be able to strive toward merit-based systems. In these other countries, they have merit-based systems. People can see merit a lot more. They just don't see it here. And you have to understand that they don't have to leave their community in order for them to get their needs met. You might have to. A man's job is to explore and find things that actually suit him rather than trying to delineate yourself to a woman that suits her. That shit don't really help us at all. Because look, these dudes don't travel for a reason. Thanks for the $100 super chat, Ghost. Shalom, brothers. I'm enjoying the conversation. For those who have not checked out Blackheart's content, yeah, man, I'm surprised you had just 1,000 something, man. No, we gotta have you on for topics and shit, so that way we can be able to get the numbers up, man.
Well, I appreciate it, but it's like I say, the share button is really more important. Like and subscribe. Yeah, but I always tell them, please hit the share button, because if no one subscribes that everybody hears it, then at least it helps out and people are benefiting.
Yeah.
And thank you, Goshen. I mean that. I appreciate that, Goshen.
Yeah. Same here, man. Thanks so much for donating. Trader MBD, what's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much. How's everybody doing?
What we doing?
Man, chilling. Man, Blackheart, man, I appreciate the message you're dropping up here. I was about to respond to you, but Mr. Fantastic said everything I was going to say.
My bad, bro. Great minds, baby. Great minds.
I know.
Well, thanks a million. And now, is your channel's name Trade the NBD on YouTube itself?
Yes, it is. Yeah, my focus is, I mentor a bunch of young cats over in a group, a lot of young SYSBM cats on, the what to, what not to's. I'm 45. I done went through 16 years of struggle with a strag, and I just try and lead them down the right path. I was military 21 years. Part of that time I did time in jail for my ex-strag, got out, got my name cleared, and just been living the lifestyle. But just to chime in on what you were saying, as traveling the world, working my job in the military and as a civilian, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's this certain fear when I go overseas that's good and bad. Like, I have no worries when I go some of the most dangerous places in the world, because people are out there watching Tupac and Biggie and like movies like Juice and New Jack City. And that's the image that they have of us. So it works out in both ways because, one way, all the women, that know this hood culture look at us like, hey, why aren't you hard? Why aren't you all rough like the guys on TV? And I'm like, that's not the real image of brothers. And it's like hard for them to conceptualize that that's how brothers aren't. But when you're in a dangerous situation, people look at you with fear and you can kind of like walk around like you're invincible.
Yeah. Can work for you or against you.
I've super chat, Justin Marks. Go ahead.
It's it can work for you or against you. The funny thing is that in my case, I usually have to speak first before I see it. But when I speak, I do see it, and I also see it when I'm with some of my colleagues that the same as us, regardless of the nationality, but same origin. I've seen that somewhat. Here, they're more likely to pull over and offer you a lift, try to take you to eat somewhere, and then try to get you to teach them English because they want to be able to speak English with our accents. And the funny thing is, when I was listening to a sound clip of some Jamaicans speaking, and they wanted to learn that too. That was so you're more like where I am, you're more likely to get that kind of thing. But there is that fascination, it certainly is. And even when they say something that's out of pocket, like sometimes I hear them say something that's out of pocket towards us about the way we look. And when I raise my voice and I tell them to watch their mouth, and then they hear it, they want to interrupt and they're stubborn. I could say that, but there's a type of correction that they're willing to take from us. There's a point past which they don't want to go. Whereas if you're talking with a redneck hillbilly and he just called you the N-word, he's not going to back down until he's outnumbered. Whereas with these guys, I've been outnumbered and I told them, you watch your mouth, you keep this up, I'm gonna call you a terrorist and dare you to do something about it. And the funny thing is when I told them in their own language, some of them were polite and some of them weren't. But when I said it in English and asked someone to translate it, before he translated, the other said, "We're sorry, we apologize. You're right. We don't need to call each other names." So it can work for us. It certainly can.
Well, here's the thing, Blackheart. We call them trillbillies over here. So.
You call them what?
Trillbillies.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, all right. Let me guess. The hillbilly is like the Beverly Hillbillies and trillbillies. I guess those are the ones that are in the hood, right?
Yeah, trillbillies. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, trillbillies. Yep. Fortunately, you don't. That's the good thing about
I'm stealing that shit. I'm stealing that shit, MOT.
I am too. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that one. But that's the good thing about being abroad. The trillbillies ain't here, and if they are, they don't last long. That's the great thing. You're not overwhelmed and overshadowed by the trillbillies when you leave. Even if you just go to goodness, man. I mean, if you just go to Ghana, where a lot of us like to go, the trillbillies ain't there.
Because the trillbilly is not a productive person. The trillbilly is a parasite off of Daggle class women. So the trillbilly, as long as you put them in a place that's not really worth production based, they're going to be able to thrive based off the woman who's also not progressive, which is the Jill. You know what I'm saying? So you got to leave those two people kind of alone, and we're not really speaking for them. They got the N1 network, niggas first, that actually take up the slack and actually promote their own people on the channel. So that way we can just come over here and do our thing and move our people forward. So that way we can have men stop waiting around for the verification of a fucking woman and just do your actual thing and move the fuck on and do some other shit. Because there's a lot of people here who's pretty much stuck. I mean, I'm not gonna call it real pure race because I'm not gonna down somebody for the way that they feel about shit that actually happened in their life and that other men don't really give a fuck about. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to move these people to a space and a place that internal peace is better than external validation. And that's kind of what this male agency piece is about. And that's the direction I want to move what I speak for in the manosphere going forward. So.
Yeah. Now you said that there was a word for the lady too.
Yeah, Jill. Yeah.
Jill Billy.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard correctly because the voice went out at the time. So
I'm with them. White woman's place,
I'm stealing them.
Yeah,
I'm with them. No, I'm with Mr. Fantastic and with Mr. Trey. I'm stealing that. And Trey, could you leave a comment on any one of my videos so that I could trace that back and find your channel too, please?
All right, cool.
Will do.
Thanks a
James
million.
King, thanks for $50 super chat. Always traveling a battle buddy system in business culture. Yes, I do the same thing. That's what my woman is. Battle buddy. Looking out for a motherfucker. Making sure that shit's working right. And this is how you can move. Even as a team, black man, black woman, you go over there, they got respect for you. Period. You know what I'm saying? If y'all are moving in concert as an actual group, actually helping each other out, people really respect that stuff, man. I mean, it's not really respected here because you're supposed to do it only in a black context, but that's the way the stuff is, man. So,
Okay.
Hey, Emoti, can you hear me now?
yeah, I can.
Man, my mic has been acting up. I was only able to listen, but I just wanted to add in on what you just said a few minutes earlier. That's the whole purpose of building a tribe or a clan. Just because people are black doesn't mean they're one in mindset. And I always bring up an example how, speaking of me personally, you know, I'm from Congo, and I immigrated to America. If I stay here for 100 years, I'm gonna build my tribe, even though my origins is back over there. And when you build a tribe, you get with like-minded people, where you can build a community, you know, because you have something in common. And the thing is, you have a system where there is no community. It's just vague. Just because we look alike, that means you have to side with me. But that's not how life works. People side with those who think alike. And it seems that the only time, quote unquote, black people be like, oh, we're black, is when, quote unquote, the other community, or like a cop, or hey, he touched one of us, then we all united. But it's like our actions don't prove otherwise based on what's going on. See, if we were one, we won't have this problem. If we were one, we won't have a quote unquote manosphere, because everything will be already established. There will need for a set of men who are separating to make things better, because the dysfunction is so high. They won't need. You see what I'm saying? So the purpose of man building a tribe is so they could have structure and protection. And without that, there is no community. And to have man, a certain group of men separating to build a community and being demonized by the majority, shows you that we were never one to begin with.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I gotta get up out of here. I got some stuff to do. I'm probably not gonna do a night stream because I was on here for 3 hours already. You got anything else before we get out of here? Fastest life.
Oh no, Amity, you already said enough. Everybody really was on point. I was just trying to add into what you were speaking earlier, but my mic was been acting up. So yeah, that's all.
Oh, that's cool, man. Anything else, Mr. Fantastic, before we get up out of here?
Man, hey, appreciate it as always, MOT, man. You know, you guys dropping major knowledge and you know, showing these brothers how to expand this thing out on a worldwide perspective, man. Like you said, bro, your goal should never ever be the woman. She's a byproduct of your success as a man. And shout out again to Blackheart, man. If you guys not subscribed, bro, you better subscribe to the brother Blackheart, man. For good finally being on the panel with you, man. You recommend the channel anytime. I know you what? I think you what? 8 to 10 hours ahead of us. 8 hours ahead of us, right?
If you're on Eastern time, then I'm 8 hours right now.
Yeah.
If you're on Central time, then I'm 9 hours ahead now at this point. Did y'all go into daylight savings time yet?
Yeah, it's what, fall back, so we like an hour behind right now. But yeah, man. I know it's difficult for you, man, because you like you almost a day ahead of us. But hey, man, but you welcome on the channel anytime, man. And I really appreciate your content and the message you put out there, man. It's incredibly important. If y'all not up on Blackheart, get up. Holler at you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks a million, and you're welcome to my channel anytime too.
All right, Blackheart, any last words before we get up out of here?
I want to thank all of you for your patience, every last one of you. And I'm just hoping that everybody that's here, everybody in the chat, please hit that share button, because folks need to hear what Man of Tomorrow was saying, and not just in this video, but in the previous ones too. So get his numbers up. Thanks a million, sir.
I got a question. So how did you run across my channel?
I can't remember, to be honest. I think you know what? I think it might have been Don Calypso, because he's the hidden hand in the manosphere. He ain't the only one, but he's one of the main ones. So I believe it might have been him. The thing is that I come across plenty. The thing is that there's something that makes me remember it. That's always the question I can answer. And what made me remember your channel, even if it wasn't him that got me on it, I think it was. But I remember your channel because you were the one saying that the game is rigged, and see, I used to think that they were doing a lot of these things out of instinct. The dual mating strategy, the hypergamy, and the feminism, and not choosing one or the other. I used to think it was subconscious. It was you that pointed out that no, they know they're doing it because they're telling you you just wait, your turn is coming, your day is coming. Yeah. And that means that they're setting you up intentionally. And that's what made me remember your channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a social viral pathology. If you put these people in different environments, they behave differently. This is why I chose to just concentrate on the men, because the women who actually respect, love men are going to respect the outcome, and they're probably going to be on the path for when they get it. But what I'm saying, because I'm a Southerner, I don't live out there, I live out west. But what I'm seeing is most of these women who are like those in the manosphere are getting men that they don't qualify for at the end of their vitality, while the man is at the beginning of his productivity. And I'm just like, look, if that's what's going to be the black future, then we're screwed. So we got to be able to have a system that's able to actually celebrate and verify men. And look, I'm not trying to get women to change. I'm just trying to get men to change. I'm not trying to get nobody else to change, man. That's just not even my job or purpose, because those women right now just play like they're actually, submissive to one person while they treat everybody else like every other woman in society treat everybody else. So that's not true femininity either. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm trying to do, is make sure that we have strong men, like the men from Black History Month, that was probably raised under those good ass circumstances, so that way they can have a shot at doing something great with their life. Those are the type of outcomes I'm here for. I'm not here to try to mentor through nonsense or any of that other stuff, because that doesn't help us at all. It helps them, doesn't help us really.
No, it's true. We're the ones that got to change up because really, they've said it themselves. Danielle George, and someone in the chat room said that it was Danielle George. Someone said it was her, but she pretty much said you have to leave before we'll change. And that right there says that in order to leave, we would have to change. I mean, I recommend us leaving, but you're right. And just to leave, we got to change. And if you're going to implement any other solution, it's going to require a change.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Whether we leave or not, better outcomes, even if you did leave, would still put us in a better light. It would still put us on a better trajectory and path to go forward. So this is why I'm like, dude, we got to move. We can't stay here. This is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have to be prepared for either solution we choose. It's going to take some kind of preparation, because we were brainwashed en masse to not be good enough to implement any particular situation.
Correct.
And so it was by design.
For people to actually keep those games by having people clean up after them. So it was kind of like a cyclic loop of cleaning out productive people from the actual community that they claim to care about. When they didn't care about it, because they're deliberately doing these things in order to keep the power that they have in the actual situation where they have it. A woman cannot maintain any level of a higher power that gave her to her. The only thing she could do is maintain power. That's the only thing that she does inside of a household, is maintain power. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. So, well, we got to make the change, and I'm glad somebody's calling us to do it. So I'm not going to hold you much longer, because you said you got to go. Elwood Johnson in the chat to answer your question. It's just the name Blackheart. That's it.
Yeah, he's the only one in a YouTube library. It's the first name that comes up. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. Obviously, I'm the man tomorrow. This is about the, I think I'm going to rename it this Obsidian's Revelation. Or Obsidian's Revelation is a win for the derelict women / relationship industry, not the men. So Thank y'all for like, sharing, comment, and subscribe. Bunk beds, nigga. You care about these people? I'm good with that. Y'all just make sure that y'all are actually taking care of yourselves out there and not trying to rescue people. That's not being a part of pro-black. It's taking people regardless of how they look. You should be able to control things with the mind state and the outcomes of it. So thank you all so much for listening. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And you guys have a really nice day. Thanks for all the super chats and the cash apps, if there were any. I can't see my email right now for some reason. Well, let me see if there was. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the cash app. I gotta be better at doing this. Thanks for the cash app, Ernest. And thanks for the cash app, J Knott. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm probably sometime in the next month gonna open up the Patreon, do like a lot of streams there, so that way we could be able to move this stuff in a different direction. You know, I have a site called Worldwide Brother that I'm getting worked on right now, so that way we can have a social repository of kind of like the best practices in whatever field that we're actually doing, so that way we could be able to move this forward. Thank y'all so much for listening, and y'all have a really nice day. Thank you.